I'm Arshia, and today we'll be discussing one of T.S. Eliot's most renowned poems, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. We'll be focusing on three main topics: the title, the form and style of the poem, as well as various allusions throughout the poem. The title, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, is a highly ironic one that hints at the various themes of the poem. The first part of the title, The Love Song of, gives a certain romantic expectation that is then played off against the unromantic sound of the name J. Alfred Prufrock, which suggests that the poem isn't going to be like a typical traditional romantic poem. It also suggests Prufrock's social class, that is the highly educated gentry of the upper middle class. The title is highly ironic in the sense that it hints at the poem being a romantic poem, but later of played expectation, because it doesn't talk about lovers or love. Rather, it talks about the speaker's inability to find love and his alienation from society. In terms of form and style, the poem doesn't follow a traditional form and contains lines and stanzas of varying lengths. However, among these variations, one can find that the style of the dramatic monologue has been consistently followed. A dramatic monologue is a poem written as a form of a speech that an individual character gives to a certain audience. It gives us a narrative sense of the speaker's history as well as a psychological insight into their character. It is the poem's form as a dramatic monologue that allows the speaker to digress into various topics in a stream of consciousness style, which means that because the poem is a dramatic monologue, which is a speech, it allows the speaker to talk out various topics about his life in a stream of consciousness manner. Now, the poem is written largely in blank verse, that is, it does not necessarily rhyme. However, that does not mean it is completely devoid of rhyme. In the first stanza, for example, the first two lines follow an AA scheme as is given here, and these lines can be seen to follow an AABB pattern. Moving on to one of the most important aspects of the poem, that is the allusions. Eliot saw himself as a classicist in a manner that he was inspired greatly by historic works of literature and thus referenced and gave various allusions to them throughout his work. The first and most important allusion in the poem is in the epigraph, that is to Dante's Inferno. Inferno is an Italian poem that narrates a pilgrim's journey through hell. The lines that have been featured from Canto 27 of the poem can be seen here when translated read as: "If I thought that my reply would be to someone who would never return to earth, this flame would remain without further movement. But as no one has ever returned alive from this gulf, if what I hear is true, I can answer you with no fear of infamy." These lines are spoken by Guido, who is a sinner in hell, telling his story to the pilgrim, who he believes will never return to earth, and thus never speak of his sins to anyone. However, on the contrary, the pilgrim does return and then tells the story of Guido's life. This allusion implies that Prufrock sees his world as an equivalent of hell, one that he cannot escape from. And in the same way that Guido is telling the story of his life to the pilgrim, the speaker of the poem does so by telling their story to the audience. This allusion highlights a theme of alienation, loneliness, and isolation in the speaker's life, because he feels that he's living in hell and is thus telling his story to the audience. And it also speaks of the dire state of the speaker's life. Other more important allusions which highlight the self-loathing and insecure nature of the speaker are that to Shakespeare's Hamlet as well as the biblical allusion to Lazarus. The allusion to Shakespeare Hamlet is seen in lines: "No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was I meant to be. I am an attendant lord, one that will do." In this, he is suggesting that he isn't the hero of the play, that is Hamlet. He is more like a satyr, which is of lesser importance. He does not see himself in a good light. He is also unlike Hamlet in the manner that Hamlet had a lover, that is Ophelia. However, the speaker, Prufrock, is completely alone. The allusion to Lazarus is seen in the lines: "I am Lazarus, come from dead. Come back to tell you all. I shall tell you all." The speaker compares himself to Lazarus, a biblical character who dies and then comes back to life. In the lines that follow this, the speaker expresses that though like Lazarus, he has seen a lot of things, he is unable to express his thoughts, he is unable to communicate effectively with the people around him, with society in general, thus stunting his willingness to communicate with those around him and his confidence in doing so. It shows how he feels that he has an inability to be amongst people. There are other illusions that are stated here. Of these, the most important one is that to John the Baptist. It's seen in the line, though I have seen my head grow slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great manner. The lines, I am no prophet, show that the speaker sees himself as a certain worthless character, and he has a very low sense of self. Therefore, we can see that allusions are a very essential part of this poem that give us a great insight into the speaker's character. Thank you.